feel better, who helps you to feel worse. People who you bump into from work while you're doing your shopping and things because they seem to want to know about what's going on. But also your friends and your brother, did you say, could help you? Okay. And then physically, you've noticed that your diet has changed, you're eating a lot more convenience food, so you've increased in weight. You've got no energy and you're tired all the time, and some nausea, but not vomiting. You notice that your sleep's changed and it's not healthy, the change. You're not waking up refreshed, okay? Yes. Your behaviours have changed in that you don't cook anymore and you do want to go back to that. You don't have any routines anymore, which were really important to you in terms of managing the housework. You're isolating yourself because you're not going out as much, and you've stopped doing things you enjoyed, like playing golf, okay, and playing snooker. You're not actually drinking because you only drank socially anyway, so that's not an issue for you. And although you're smoking, it hasn't changed at all, okay? The thoughts that you have are that you're a failure, that if what others are coping, i.e. your colleagues, but why can't I, okay? And that generates feelings that really sad, mainly, but also quite angry, you know, that, you know, you're in this situation, it's not of your making, it's not what you wanted, and guilty because you feel as if you're letting your colleagues down, they're dealing with it, okay. And the trigger was 6 months ago, yeah, okay. So thank you very much for that, okay. So what I'd just like to do now is just check how safe you are, really. And each time we meet, if we decide we're going to work together, we would check this. Or each time we talk, we check this, okay? Because it's really important about making sure that you're kept safe. I'm not presuming that you aren't safe at the moment. It's just about sort of like getting a really good idea of what's happening for you, okay? Because very often when people are experiencing low mood or they're anxious, they have thoughts that they really don't want to carry on and they want to end their life.
Right.
And so I need to just make sure that, you know, sort of like see where you are at the moment, okay, and see if there's anything I can do to help, okay. So in the past 2 weeks, have you ever had thoughts of ending your life?
I suppose the thoughts that I've had is I'd be better off if I was out of it all.
Okay.
Or it'd be better, like at night when going to bed, it'd be better if I didn't wake up in the morning.
Right.
Those type of thoughts, but I don't want to do anything about it.
Okay, right, okay. So when you have these thoughts, in the last week, how often have you had the thoughts?
I would say, I'd say 2 or 3 times in the last week.
Okay, and when do they normally occur?
It's usually night time.
Usually at night, okay. And when they occur, how long do they last?
They don't last long because I don't let them. I kind of get irritated when I get thoughts like that.
Okay.
So if I feel that they're going on longer than, say, 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, I will do something else, or we'll play music or watch television or something.
And does that work?
It certainly has done so far.
Right. And when you have these thoughts, how distressing are they? How much do they upset you? So if I was asking you on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being not distressing at all, and 10 being, I can't stop thinking about them, they're just really intrusive, where would you see yourself?
I'd say 2.
Okay, right, okay, thank you for that. And so if I was to ask you, you know, sort of like, have you thought about how you would end your life? Have you made any plans or anything like that?
No, not at all.
No, okay. So you haven't thought about how you would do it, like
No.
take tablets, you're not stockpiling tablets or anything like that? Okay. So if I was to say to you in terms of how likely it is that you would end your life, so what your intent is, 0 being no intent at all, and 10 being nothing's going to stop me when I leave here, I'm definitely going to do it, where would you say?
I'd say not.
Okay. Well, that's really helpful, that's really positive. So you've got no thoughts of ending your life at the moment in terms of thinking about how you would do it or anything like that. Okay. So, and in the past, have you ever had thoughts of ending your life?
No, it's never been an issue.
Okay, you've never attempted to end your life in the past. And you've never really considered how you would do it either?
No.
Okay. Just need to check in terms of self-harm, because it's very common that people can self-harm. Have you ever self-harmed?
No.
And you're not doing it at the moment?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I need to check how you feel in terms of whether or not you're a risk to anybody else. So do you think you're a risk to anyone else?
Oh, no, not at all.
Are you a risk for yourself? You don't seem to
No.
be, but no, okay. Are you a carer for anybody at the
No.
moment? Okay, so you don't have carer responsibilities. What's always really useful to know is what type of protective factors we have that will keep us safe. You know, so what makes you think I'd never do that because, okay?
I suppose because the effect it would have on my family, I think it would be devastating for them.
Okay.
And I suppose the other thing is I don't want to do anything about it.
Right, okay. Brilliant, okay. And that's really important, isn't it? You sort of you don't want to end your life.
That's
okay.
right.
How strong would you say those protective factors are?
I think very strong.
Okay, that's really good. Okay. Is there anyone you could talk to if you know about these thoughts that you're having?
I suppose amongst my family, I suppose my brother I could speak to.
Okay.
Well,
and if the
that's an
thoughts
outward,
got worse, who could you talk to?
well, again, I'd would approach my brother. I got on well with my GP,
Okay.
so I know I
To talk to them.
could
Okay.
talk to them. Yeah.
Sort of often like GPs don't work on a 24-hour basis,
Right.
do they? So it's always useful. I like to give people I'm going to be working with numbers of of services that they contact.
Okay.
I've got this list here. Can I give it to you?
Cheers.
Yeah. Sort of the numbers there are sort of like crisis teams and GP Samaritans. Samaritans are really useful. And they are like 24/7 team numbers, okay? Because this isn't a 24/7 service.
Right.
Obviously, when I'm in work, if you wanted to talk to me, you could, but they're really for out of hours, okay?
Yeah.
So, would you could use those if things ever really got that bad?
I think so.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So what I just need to check with you now is very often when people start to feel low, they start to feel as if there's nothing in their life that's worth living, that that things are really hopeless, that there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So again, on a scale of 0 to 10, it's useful for me to identify where you fit. So if we were to say 0 is extremely hopeful, life is like a bed of roses, and 10 is there's no light at the end of the tunnel and it's never going to get better, where would you see yourself?
I'd probably say a 6 actually.
Okay, right, okay. So sort of
More hopeful than
more
not.
hopeful,
Yeah,
right,
that's what I
okay.
feel.
So you feel more hopeful,
Yeah.
okay. So sort of that would imply so 0 being really, really hopeful and 10 being really, really hopeless. 60% would say you're 60% hopeless.
Oh, sorry, I got it mixed
Yeah,
up.
no, don't worry.
It's
So
4.
4.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So 40% of you feels hopeful. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 40% of you feels.
No, well, I would say 60. I would say 60% of myself.
Yeah. Feels hopeful. That's
Yeah.
fine. Okay. So what is it about the 40% that doesn't feel hopeful?
I suppose not feeling able to cope with it,
Right. Okay.
and things getting on top of me,
Yeah.
and it's never going to get better. And I know that I should be doing something about it.
Okay. And what would need to change? What would you need to be able to change?
I suppose
to
me
increase that?
feeling a little bit more in control of what's going to happen with. I know I've got less control because of this. It's a procedure that was being undertaken, but if I had some control over that.
Okay. And would anybody need to help with that? Would you need anyone to help you?
Probably the unions and probably HR and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. And then just in terms of impulsivity, very often when people are low, their ability to manage themselves reduces, particularly it's real worrying when we're thinking about somebody ending their life. So so what we like to do is just check impulsivity.
Okay.
So a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being not impulsive at all, 10 being very little control of your actions. You just do something without thinking.
I think I'm not, because I think I'm an ultra cautious kind of person.
Okay, right, brilliant. Thank you for that. I just need to check a few more things in terms of how you're looking after yourself. You don't have responsibilities for others, so how are you looking after yourself?
Not as well as previously.
Okay.
Certainly in terms of I mentioned the cooking and stuff like that. But in terms of like personal hygiene, the skills are still there and I can still do it. But it's whether I've got the energy to do it. Sometimes if I'm not going out, I probably won't bother to like shower or things like that, or
Right.
shave every day and things like that.
Okay, right, okay. And is that very different to how you were before?
Very much so.
Okay. You look as if you've managed to get yourself dressed and ready for today, is that correct?
Yes, and when I need to do it, I can do it.
Right, okay. So in the past week, how many times would you say that you've let things slip?
I'd say about 3 days, really.
Okay. And is that something you'd like to work on?
Yes.
Okay. And again, that's something that we can definitely work on, Jo. All right, okay. So, to summarise, the way I'm thinking at the moment is that you seem to be, of a low risk at the moment. Although you have thoughts that you want to end your life, not thoughts you want to end your life, you have thoughts that you don't want to wake up in the morning.
Yes.
You've got no intentions of acting on them, you've told me, and that you can manage to distract yourself, okay?
Yes.
They are distressing, but you can manage to distract yourself. You've got no intent, you haven't thought about ending your life in the past, you've got no thoughts about how you would do it, you've got very strong protective factors, and you've got numbers there that you can ring. I've given you some numbers, okay? You're not self-harming at all, and you haven't in the past. You're not a risk to or from others. You're not a carer at all, but you notice in terms of neglect to yourself that that's something that you want to work on, okay? You don't see yourself as an impulsive person at all. And at the moment, there is some issues around how hopeless you feel, but certainly that's something that we could work on.
Yeah.
Okay. If I was to ask you at the moment how motivated you are to change on a scale again of 0 to 10, 0 being no motivation at all, 10 being highly motivated, where would you say you
I'd
were?
probably say about 5 at the minute.
Okay. So let's see if we can get that up.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So what I need to do is I just need to check now the impact of your problem on your lifestyle. Okay. So you've told me that in terms of domestic life, your housework is suffering, yeah?
Yes. It's
Okay.
not as, on track as it used to be.
And you want to address that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else domestic?
No, that was it really.
Okay. Work, you've told me that you're employed, but you're off 3 months at the moment. You've been off for 3 months at the moment.
And it is my intention to go back.
And you are going to go back. In terms of you being salaried while you're
Yes.
on? Okay. Is it a similar salary?
6 months full pay, 6 months half pay, but I want to go back before.
Right, so that's something
That
we would
kicks
like,
in.
we need to
Yeah.
work to, okay. Social leisure, you've mentioned golfing in the past and socialising.
Yes.
Anything else that's changed?
No, that's the main thing, really.
Okay. And private leisure, again, gardening you've talked
Yeah.
about, yeah? Does golf fit into that
Golf,
as well?
yeah, it's something you can do as
On
an
your own,
individual.
yeah. Anything else that you've noticed changed private
No.
leisure? Okay. And then family, you mentioned that you've got a brother and parents.
Yes.
Has it had an impact on them, how you're feeling?
Not really, because I've not told my parents anything about this. My brother knows a little bit, but I try to avoid the conversation, so it's not really impacted on the family really.
Okay. Is there any other family members?
I've got other siblings, but they live away.
Okay. And you're living on your own at the moment?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So your GP gave you a questionnaire to complete,
right,
is that
yes.
right? Okay. Did he tell you what this was about?
He said it was about monitoring moods and monitoring,
Yeah, that's it,
looking
exactly.
for low mood really.
This is one of 4 questionnaires that we'll ask you to complete, okay? This one is really around low mood, okay? And if you just give me a minute and I'll just second to add up. It's 19 is your score, okay? And if you look on the bottom, it says in terms of how severe that is that we're talking about a moderately severe, but at the very top end of moderately severe,
Right, okay.
So the symptoms you're experiencing seem to be severe in sort of like effect. Would that be
That's
right?
certainly how we feel.
Moderate to severe, yeah, okay. And if we look at what you've told me so far, it seems to match very much with what you've told me. So things like poor appetite or overeating, you've noticed changes, feeling tired or having little energy, you've said that nearly every day, and you've given me a lot of information about that. Sleeping problems you've mentioned as well, and feeling down and depressed, okay. Question 9 about thoughts you were better off dead. You've talked about several days. That fits what you've said. Are they thoughts you're better off dead or thoughts of ending your life? Just so I'm clear.
It's just thoughts of being better off out of it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, if we decide to work together, I'm going to ask you to complete one of these just before you come to see me or talk. And that's so that the reason for that is so that we can get an idea. It helps to build a picture along with all the other information about how you're feeling, okay? So we use this as your first score, and our goal is to see those scores go right down, okay? So if we're working together and it's working, those scores should come down.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
Occasionally they'll go up a little bit, usually when you first start work together, because that can be a bit anxiety provoking. But then we look at that and we think, right, why's that happened? And we address that.
Okay.
Okay? Is that all right?
Yes, that's fine.
I'll give you some more copy of those at the
Okay.
end, okay? So, what I need to do now with you is just check, are you on any medication?
No.
No, okay. Have you thought about antidepressant medication?
I've spoken about antidepressant medication to my GP, and it is an option for the future, but I don't want to do anything about it yet.
Okay.
But if I need it, I don't object to it.
Right, okay, and that's really helpful to know. The research does suggest, and the reason we do our work together is that actually for somebody who's experiencing the type of problems that you're having, that working together in this way is more effective than medication. But certainly that's an option there for the future, because there is also some research that says that using both is effective as well. Okay. In terms of, just need to check, have you got any other health problems?
No.
Okay, so no long-term conditions.
No.
Okay. Have you got any learning needs, like dyslexia or anything? No. Okay. The reason I just asked that is in case I need to make any adaptations to any work that we're going to be doing. Okay. Do you really want to, why do you want help now? Why have you decided now?
I don't want to get too overwhelmed by this problem. I need to get back on track, basically. I need to start doing something more constructive in the time.
What would that look like?
I suppose doing the things that I used to do.
Okay.
Really getting some routines back.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Certainly I can help you with that. Okay. Us working together. Okay. So from that, it's useful to identify goals. Okay. And that's because the way in which we're going to work, we're going to have 6 sessions following if you decide you want to. And what we need to do is think about how we're going to get best use out of those 6 sessions.
Right.
So we need to identify long-term goals, things that we may not get to, but what the plan is that the work that we do together will give you the skills to achieve those long-term goals. Okay. So we look in terms of long-term, medium-term, and short-term. Okay. So if we look at a long-term goal, what would you term a
that would be
goal?
the full-time employment.
Right.
Return to full-time
Going back
employment.
to work.
Yeah,
okay.
Going back to work. Yeah.
So if we look then at short-term goals, what would some short-term goals? These are things that you and I can definitely start working on.
I suppose that would be getting some structure into my life, doing more, constructive activities and getting some routines back.
Right. So things like doing housework again.
Yeah, things like that, and socialising,
cooking, those types of things. Okay. What would be a medium-term goal then?
I suppose that would be preparing to go back to work. Yeah. There's things I need to do.
Right.
In preparation to get back to full-time employment.
Contacting unions,
work,
contacting work, maybe even occupational health, that type of thing.
Yes.